The morning sun came through the tall windows of the Earth Embassy on Station Prime. Ambassador sat at her desk, reading reports about trade agreements and colony supplies. It was a normal day. At least, it started that way. Her assistant walked into the room with quick steps. His face looked worried. Noticed this right away. Was usually calm and collected. He had worked with her for 5 years and she had rarely seen him nervous. "Ambassador," he said, his voice was tight, "we have a problem." Put down her tablet and looked at him. "What kind of problem?" "The Galactic Council has sent an urgent message. The Empire has made accusations against humanity. They are calling for an emergency meeting." Raised one eyebrow. The Empire was one of the oldest powers in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of star systems and had a military force that made most species afraid. Their leader, High Commander, was known for his harsh ways and quick anger. "What accusations?" asked. Handed her a data pad. "They say humans are expanding too fast. They say we are a threat to galactic peace. They want us to surrender all our colonies outside the Sol system." Read the message slowly. The words were full of anger and warnings. The Empire did not make requests. They made demands. And if those demands were not met, they made war. "There is more," said. He looked even more worried now. "Our sensors have detected fleet movements. 12 alien battle groups are moving toward our outer colonies. Ships, but also cruisers and Mindel destroyers. It seems they have made alliances." Stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships moved slowly between the massive arms of Station Prime. Beings from 100 different worlds walked through the corridors below. Most of them did not know what was happening. They did not know that war might be coming. "How long do we have?" she asked. "The council meeting is in 6 hours. The fleets will reach our colonies in 2 days." 2 days. It was not much time. If war started, millions of humans would be in danger. The colonies were not ready for a full-scale attack. Earth's military was strong, but fighting against so many enemies at once would be difficult. Turn back to, "Have you told anyone else about this?" "Only Director at the Defense Ministry. She is preparing emergency plans." "Good, keep this quiet for now. I do not want panic." Nodded, but he did not leave. He stood there waiting, knew what he wanted to ask. "You want to know what I am going to do?" she said. "Yes, Ambassador. What can we do? They are powerful. Their allies make them stronger. If we refuse their demands, they will attack. If we accept, we lose everything we have built." Smiled. It was a small smile, calm and steady. Had seen that smile before. It was the smile she wore when things were most difficult. "I am going to the council meeting," she said. "Alone?" "Yes, alone." Shook his head. "Ambassador, that is too dangerous. The council chamber will be full of beings who want us destroyed. You need guards, you need protection." "No," said. "If I go with soldiers, they will see it as a sign of fear. They will think we are ready for war. I need to show them something different." "What?" Picked up her coat and put it on. It was a simple coat, dark blue with silver buttons. She had worn it to many meetings before. It was her favorite. "I need to show them that humans are not afraid," she said. "Fear is what they expect. Fear is what they want. I will not give it to them." Followed her as she walked toward the door. "Ambassador, please. They do not understand mercy. They do not understand peace talks. They only understand power." Stopped and turned to face him. "Do you know the story of my grandfather?" "No, Ambassador." His name was, he was a doctor during the Third Pacific War. The fighting was terrible. Cities burned. Millions died, but my grandfather walked through the worst of it. He carried medicine on his back and helped anyone who needed it. Enemy soldiers, friendly soldiers, it did not matter. He helped them all. "That was brave," said. One day, an enemy general captured him. The general put a gun to his head and asked him why he helped enemy soldiers. "Do you know what my grandfather said?" Shook his head. He said because they are hurt. That was all. The general looked at him for a long time, then he let him go. He even gave him safe passage through enemy lines. Put her hand on shoulder. The general expected fear, he expected begging. My grandfather gave him neither. That confused him, it made him think, and in the end it saved my grandfather's life. You think you can do the same with the... I do not know, admitted, but I have to try. Humanity has faced many dangers, ice ages, plagues, wars that nearly destroyed us. We survived all of them, not because we were the strongest, not because we had the best weapons. We survived because we refused to give up. She opened the door and stepped into the corridor. Beings of many different species walked past her. Some looked at her with curiosity. Others ignored her completely. None of them knew that this small human woman was about to face the greatest challenge of her life. Caught up with her. At least let me come with you, not as a guard, just as a friend. Thought about it for a moment. Then she nodded. Very well, but stay quiet during the meeting. Let me do the talking. I will, but Ambassador. Yes. Please be careful. Smiled again. I am always careful, but careful does not mean afraid. Remember that. They walked together toward the shuttle bay. In 6 hours would stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They would threaten her. They would try to make her afraid. But Ambassador had learned something long ago, something her grandfather had taught her family through his actions. Fear was a choice, and she had chosen not to make it. The shuttle was waiting for them. It was small and simple, with no weapons and no shields. It was a diplomat's shuttle meant for peace, not war. Climbed inside and sat down, sat across from her. Ready? He asked. Looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, enemy fleets were moving closer. Somewhere out there, beings were planning humanity's destruction. But she was not worried. She had a plan, or at least she had something better than a plan. She had hope. I am ready, she said. Let us go meet the galaxy. The shuttle moved through space in silence. Stars passed by the windows like tiny lights in an endless ocean of black. Watched them without speaking. Sat across from her, his hands folded in his lap. He wanted to say something, but he did not know what words would help. The trip to the council station took 4 hours. During that time, reviewed everything she knew about the Empire. She read about their history, their culture, their leaders. Most importantly, she read about High Commander. Was old even by standards. He had lived for over 300 years. In that time he had fought in dozens of wars. He had conquered entire star systems. His name was spoken with fear across the galaxy. When made a threat, he always followed through. He has never lost a war, said quietly. He was reading the same reports. Everything ends eventually, replied. The shuttle slowed down as they approached the council station. It was massive, bigger than any structure humans had ever built. The station floated in neutral space, belonging to no empire or species. It was a place for talking, for making deals, for keeping peace. But today, it felt like something else. Today, it felt like a place for judgment. Docking was quick. A small group of council guards met them at the airlock. They were tall beings with gray skin and 4 arms. Their faces showed no emotion as they led and through long corridors. The station was busy. Beings of every shape and size moved through the halls. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4, some on none at all. They spoke in 100 different languages, their voices mixing into a strange music. But as passed, many of them stopped and stared. Word had spread. Everyone knew why the human ambassador was here. They are looking at us, whispered. Let them look, said. We have nothing to hide. They reached the council chamber after walking for nearly 20 minutes. The doors were huge, made of a metal that seemed to glow with inner light. 2 more guards stood on either side. They looked at with eyes that held no welcome. Ambassador of Earth, one guard said, the council is waiting. The doors opened slowly. Inside, the chamber was even bigger than had imagined. It was shaped like a half circle with rows of seats rising up on all sides. Thousands of beings sat in those seats, representatives from every major species in the galaxy. At the center of the room was a raised platform. That was where speakers stood. That was where would stand. But first, she had to face the one who had called this meeting. High Commander stood at the far end of the chamber. He was tall, almost 3 meters high. His skin was dark purple, covered in thick scales. His eyes were red like burning fire. He wore armor made of black metal decorated with symbols of his many victories. Behind him, a massive screen showed images of warships. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. It was a show of power, a reminder of what would happen if failed. The human arrives, said. His voice was deep and loud. It filled the entire chamber. Finally, you show yourself. Walked forward calmly. Her footsteps echoed on the stone floor. Every eye in the room watched her. Some looked curious. Some looked angry. Some looked afraid, but kept her face still and her back straight. She reached the speaking platform and climbed the 3 steps to the top. From here, she could see everyone. Thousands of faces looked back at her. Some of them belonged to friends. Most of them did not. I am here, she said simply. What do you want to say to me? Laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. What do I want to say? I want to say that your species has gone too far. You spread across the stars like a disease. You take planets that do not belong to you. You make weapons that threaten the peace we have worked so hard to build. We have taken nothing that was owned by others, replied. We have settled only on empty worlds, worlds that no one wanted. You lie, roared. The chamber shook with the power of his voice. The Empire claims those systems. They have been ours for 10,000 years. Your claims are in your records, said calmly. But your people are not there. Your ships do not patrol there. Your colonies do not exist there. A claim means nothing without presence. His red eyes burned brighter. He was not used to being challenged. He was not used to small beings who did not shake when he spoke. You dare to argue with me, he said. Do you see the ships behind me? Do you see the power of the Empire? With one word, I can destroy every human colony in the galaxy. With one word, I can burn you to ash. The images on the screen changed. They showed battle formations, weapons charging, missiles ready to launch. It was meant to frighten. It was meant to make beg. But did not beg. She did not even look at the screen. Instead, she looked at with calm eyes. I see your ships, she said. They are very impressive, but before we continue, I would like a glass of water. The trip here was long and I am thirsty. For a moment, there was complete silence. Stared at her like she had spoken in a language he did not understand. The delegates in the seats looked at each other in confusion. Someone, somewhere, laughed nervously. Water, said slowly. You ask for water. Yes, please, if it is not too much trouble. A council attendant hurried forward with a small cup, took it and drank slowly. The cool liquid felt good on her dry throat. She took her time, savoring each sip. When she finished, she handed the cup back with a polite nod. Thank you, she said. That is much better. Now where were we? Scales shifted color, turning from purple to dark red. This was a sign of anger in culture, very bad anger. You mock me, he said through tight teeth. You stand before the mightiest fleet in the galaxy and you ask for water. Do you have no fear at all? Tilted her head slightly. Fear? No, I do not think so. Should I have fear? You should be on your knees. You should be begging for mercy. Why would I do that? You have not attacked yet. You have only talked. And talking is what this chamber is for, is it not? The delegates murmured among themselves. This was not going the way anyone had expected. The human was supposed to be afraid. The human was supposed to give in. Instead, she stood there like she was at a simple business meeting. Took a step forward. His heavy boots made the floor shake. You test my patience, human. I will ask one time only. Will your people surrender your colonies and accept rule, or will you choose war? Looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked at the thousands of beings watching her. They were all waiting. The whole galaxy was waiting. "I think," said softly, "that I have a third option." "There is no third option." "There is always a third option," replied. "Humans are very good at finding them. It is one of our many talents." She turned to face the full council. Her voice grew stronger now, filling the chamber just as it had done. "You think you know what humans are," she said. "You think we are weak. You think we are afraid. You think that if you show us enough weapons, we will fall to our knees and give you whatever you want. But you are wrong. You do not know us at all." Opened his mouth to speak, but continued without stopping. "Let me tell you what humans are. Let me tell you what you are really dealing with." Stood on the platform like a queen addressing her court. The chamber had gone completely silent. Even with all his anger had stopped speaking. Everyone wanted to hear what this small human would say. 60,000 years ago, began, our ancestors lived in caves. They had no fire, they had no tools, they had nothing but their hands and their minds. The world was cold and dangerous. Giant animals hunted them. Ice covered the land. Food was hard to find. Every day was a fight to survive. She paused and looked around the chamber. Many of the delegates seemed confused. What did ancient history have to do with war? "Other species on our planet were stronger," continued. "They had sharper teeth. They had thicker skin. They could run faster and fight harder. By all logic, humans should have died out. We should have become nothing but bones in the dirt." Snorted, "But you did not, we know this. You survived. What is your point?" "My point," said slowly, "is that we should not have survived, but we did. And do you know why? Because we refused to give up. When the ice came, we built shelters. When the animals attacked, we made weapons. When food ran out, we learned to farm. Every time the universe tried to kill us, we found a way to live." She began to walk across the platform. Her steps were slow and careful. "Later, we spread across our world. We built cities. We created art and music and science, but peace did not last. We fought wars with each other, terrible wars, wars that killed millions." "You admit your species is violent," said with satisfaction. "This proves our point. Humans are a danger to the galaxy." "Yes, we fought," agreed. "We fought over land and resources and ideas. Some of those wars nearly destroyed us. There was a time when we built weapons that could burn our entire planet. We came very close to using them." The chamber stirred. This was not the kind of talk diplomats usually made. Most species hid their worst moments. They did not speak of them openly. "But we did not use them," said. "At the very edge of destruction, we stopped. We chose to live instead of die. We chose peace instead of fire, not because we were weak, not because we were afraid, but because we understood something important." "What?" someone called from the seats. It was a delegate from one of the species allied with turned to face the voice. "We understood that strength is not about how many you can kill. True strength is about how many you can save." Laughed again. "Pretty words, but words do not stop weapons. Words do not protect colonies." "You are right," said. "Words alone are not enough. Actions matter more, so let me tell you about actions." She walked to the edge of the platform, closer to where stood. She was so small compared to him. Her head barely reached his chest, but she did not seem small. Something about her made her seem much larger than her body. "My grandfather was a man named," she said. "He was a doctor during one of our worst wars. Bombs fell every day. Cities burned. People screamed and died in the streets. It was hell." The word translated strangely into the various alien languages, but they understood the meaning. Every species had a word for the worst place imaginable. "Could have stayed safe," continued. "He could have hidden in a shelter and waited for the war to end. Many people did that. No one would have blamed him, but he did not hide. Instead, he walked into the fire." "What do you mean?" asked. Despite himself, he sounded curious. "I mean he walked through the battlefields. He carried medicine and bandages on his back. He helped wounded soldiers no matter which side they fought for. Enemy soldiers, friendly soldiers, it did not matter to him. They were all human, they all needed help. His voice grew softer, but somehow it carried even further. One day, enemy soldiers captured him. Their commander was a hard man, cruel and cold. He put a weapon to his head and demanded to know why he helped enemy soldiers. "What did your grandfather say?" The question came from a delegate did not recognize, a small being with blue skin and large eyes. He said, "Because they are hurt," smiled at the memory of the story. That was all, just 4 words, "because they are hurt." "And the commander killed him?" asked. No, the commander looked at him for a long time. Then he lowered his weapon. He gave food and water and let him go. He even gave him safe passage through enemy territory. Shook his head. "A nice story, but what does it prove? That humans are soft, that you do not have the courage to fight?" "No," said firmly. "It proves that humans understand something you do not. It proves that even our enemies can change. Even the hardest hearts can be reached." The commander expected fear. He expected begging. He expected weakness. Instead, he found something he did not understand. He found someone who was not afraid to die, but who also was not willing to hate. She turned back to face the full council. "You call us dangerous. You say we spread too fast. You say we threaten peace. But look at your own history. Look at the Empire." Scales turned red again. "Be careful, human." "They have conquered 47 species," said, ignoring his warning. "You have burned worlds. You have enslaved millions. Your peace is the peace of the grave. Your order is built on fear and death." The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates shouted in anger. Others shouted in agreement, roared for silence, but it took a long moment before the noise died down. "You dare accuse us?" demanded. "You, whose species nearly destroyed itself with war." "Yes, I dare," replied calmly. "Because we learned from our mistakes, we changed. Can you say the same?" Had no answer. His red eyes burned, but no words came from his mouth. Pressed forward. "You ask if we fear you. Let me answer that question properly. No, we do not fear you. We have faced ice that covered our world. We have faced plagues that killed half our people. We have faced the worst parts of our own nature and survived. A few thousand ships do not scare us." "Then you are fools," said quietly. "We will destroy you." "Perhaps," admitted. "You might win a war against us. You have more ships, you have more soldiers, you have more weapons, but you will not win easily, and you will not win without cost." She raised her chin and looked directly into his burning eyes. "Humans do not surrender. We do not give up. If you attack us, we will fight. Every colony, every ship, every man, woman, and child, we will fight until the last of us falls. And even then, we will probably find a way to keep fighting. You would all die for nothing." "Not for nothing," said softly. "For freedom, for our children, for the right to live as we choose. These things are worth dying for." The chamber was quiet now. The delegates watched with wide eyes. Even those who had been angry before seemed uncertain. This human was different from what they expected. She was not begging. She was not threatening. She was simply telling the truth. Stood very still. His armor gleamed in the light. His fleet waited on the screens behind him. He had the power to start a war with a single word. Everyone knew this. But something had changed. Could see it in his eyes. The fire was still there, but there was something else now. Something that might have been doubt. "You speak well," said finally. "But words do not change facts. Humanity is surrounded. Your colonies are defenseless. What will you do about that?" Smiled. It was the same calm smile she had worn since the beginning. "I am glad you asked," she said, "because I have something to show you." Reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small device. It was nothing special to look at, just a flat piece of metal with a few buttons, but the way she held it made everyone nervous. "What is that?" demanded. "A weapon?" "No," said. "It is a communicator. May I use it? I would like to show the council something important." looked at the council moderators. They whispered among themselves for a moment. Then the chief moderator, an old being with silver skin, nodded slowly. "You may proceed, Ambassador." Pressed a button on the device. The massive screens behind flickered. The images of warships disappeared. New images took their place. At first, no one understood what they were seeing. There were ships, yes, but they were not warships. They were transport vessels, cargo haulers, medical frigates, and there were many of them, hundreds, maybe more. "What is this?" growled. "What are you showing us?" "These are human ships," said calmly. "They have been moving through the galaxy for the past 3 days. While you gathered your fleets and made your threats, we were busy doing something else." She pressed another button. The view changed. Now the screens showed star maps with highlighted routes. Green lines connected dozens of systems. "These routes are the major trade paths of the galaxy," explained. "Without them, commerce stops. Without commerce, planets starve. Your economy, Commander, depends on these routes. The economy depends on them. The Mindel economy depends on them. Everyone depends on them." His red eyes went wide. "You would block the trade routes. You would starve the galaxy." "No," said. "We would never do that. Look more closely." The screens changed again. Now they showed the human ships in detail. They were not armed. They carried no weapons at all. Instead, they carried food, medicine, building supplies, emergency equipment. "Our ships are at every major junction," said, "but they are not there to attack. They are there to help." A murmur ran through the council chamber. This was not what anyone expected. War fleets they understood, threats they understood, but this. 3 weeks ago," continued, "there was an earthquake on Prime. Thousands of people lost their homes. Your government, Commander, offered no help. The Empire was too busy building warships." She looked toward the delegates. Their faces had gone pale. "Human ships arrived 5 days after the disaster. They brought food, water, and medical supplies. They stayed for 2 weeks. They helped rebuild homes. They saved lives." That is true," one of the delegates admitted. His voice was quiet, almost ashamed. "The humans did help us." Turned to stare at "You did not tell me this." "We did not think it mattered." "It matters now," said, "because it shows what humanity is really doing in the galaxy. We are not conquering, we are not stealing, we are helping." She pressed another button. More images appeared. Human ships delivering supplies to flood victims on a Mindel colony. Human doctors treating a plague on a world whose name could not even pronounce. Human engineers helping repair a damaged space station that belonged to a species that had never spoken to humans before. "Over the past 5 years," said, "human aid missions have helped 43 different worlds. We asked for nothing in return. We expected no payment. We did it because they needed help and we could provide it." The chamber was very quiet now. Delegates looked at each other with confusion in their eyes. This was not the humanity they had heard about. This was not the dangerous species they had warned them about. "Why?" asked. His voice had lost some of its anger. Now he just sounded puzzled. "Why would you do this?" Smiled, "Because that is who we are. We help people. It is in our nature." "No species is that generous. There must be a reason. You want something from us." "We want only one thing," said. "We want peace. We want to live alongside you, not against you. We want to be partners, not enemies." Shook his great head. "I do not believe you. This must be a trick. You position your ships at trade routes so you can threaten us." "If we wanted to threaten you, we would have brought warships. We brought food instead. Does that seem like a threat to you?" Had no answer. He stood there, his massive body tense, his hands opening and closing. For the first time since the meeting began, he looked uncertain. Walked to the edge of the platform again. She spoke now not just to, but to everyone in the chamber. "You see us as young, you see us as new to the stars, and you are right. Compared to your ancient empires, we are children, but we are children who have learned hard lessons. We know what war costs. We know what hate destroys. And we have decided that we want something different. She spread her hands wide. Look at where our ships are. Every single one of them is in a position to help. If disaster strikes anywhere in the galaxy, human ships can respond. We have chosen to be guardians, not conquerors. We have chosen protection over destruction. A voice came from the seats. It was the delegate with blue skin who had spoken earlier. Ambassador, this is remarkable, but what happens if we reject your offer? What happens if war still comes? Lowered her hands, her face became serious. Then we will fight, make no mistake about that. We will defend ourselves with everything we have. But even then, we will not forget who we are. We will not become monsters to fight monsters. You cannot fight and help at the same time, said. Can we not? Replied. During our worst wars, humans built hospitals behind the battle lines. We created rules for treating prisoners with respect. We sent food to civilians trapped in war zones. Yes, we can fight and help at the same time. We have done it before. Who had been standing silently by the door this whole time, felt a strange feeling in his chest. Pride. He was proud of his ambassador. He was proud of his species. Turned to look at the screens again. The images still showed human ships full of supplies, positioned throughout the galaxy. They were not weapons. They were gifts, offers of friendship to a galaxy that had given humanity nothing but suspicion and threats. This changes nothing, said, but his voice lacked conviction. The Empire has made its decision. Humanity must submit or face the consequences. Then let me ask you something, said quietly. Look at those ships. Look at what we have chosen to do with our resources. And then ask yourself, is this the enemy you want? Is this the species you want to destroy? She paused to let the question sink in. We could have built more warships. We could have armed ourselves to the teeth and prepared for battle. Instead, we chose to help strangers. We chose to save lives instead of take them. What does that tell you about us? What does that tell you about what kind of neighbor we would be? The council chamber erupted in conversation. Delegates talked urgently with each other. Some argued. Some nodded thoughtfully. The mood had shifted. Something important had happened, though not everyone understood what it was yet. Stood alone at the far end of the chamber. His red eyes moved from the screens to and back again. He was thinking. For the first time in perhaps 100 years, High Commander was genuinely thinking about something other than war. Waited, she had done everything she could. She had shown them who humanity really was. Now the choice belonged to others. But she was not worried. Humans had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They would survive this too. One way or another, they would find a way. They always did. The chamber buzzed with voices. Delegates from 100 different species argued and whispered and shouted. Some demanded war. Others called for peace. The noise was so loud that could barely hear herself think. But she kept her eyes on. The High Commander stood like a statue. His massive body did not move. His red eyes stared at something far away, something only he could see. The screens behind him still showed human ships, ships full of food, ships full of medicine, ships full of hope. Silence! His voice cut through the noise like a blade. The chamber went quiet instantly. Everyone turned to look at the commander. His decision would shape the future of the galaxy. Everyone knew this. Stepped forward. His boots made heavy sounds on the stone floor. Step by step, he moved toward the platform where stood. She did not back away. She did not show any fear. She simply waited. He stopped right in front of her. This close, he was even more terrifying. His scales gleamed. His armor seemed to absorb the light. His red eyes burned with inner fire. He could crush her with one hand. He could end her life before anyone could stop him. You are either the bravest being I have ever met, said slowly, or the most foolish. Perhaps both, replied. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. You come to my challenge with no weapons. You ask for water while I threaten your world. You show me pictures of ships carrying food while my fleet waits to destroy you. What game are you playing? No game, said. I am simply telling you the truth. The truth, turned the word over like he was tasting it. The truth is dangerous, Ambassador. It can destroy empires faster than any weapon. Yes, agreed. It can, but it can also build something new, something better. Was silent for a long moment. The entire chamber held its breath. Thousands of beings watched and waited. The fate of billions hung on what would happen next. I have ruled the empire for 200 years, said finally. In that time, I have conquered 47 worlds. I have defeated every enemy who stood against me. I have built the greatest military force the galaxy has ever seen. He paused, his voice grew softer. And I have never once been offered friendship. Felt her heart beat faster. She sensed something changing, something important. Enemies I understand, continued. Threats I understand, power I understand, but this, he gestured toward the screens. This I do not understand. You help others without asking for anything. You protect strangers. You choose mercy when you could choose victory. That is what we believe in, said gently. That is what we have learned through our long and painful history. Power without kindness is empty. Victory without honor is hollow. The only things that truly matter are the lives we save and the connections we make. Looked down at her. For a moment his eyes seemed less red, less angry. For a moment he almost looked tired. My species has forgotten these things, he admitted. We have become so focused on conquest that we have lost something important. I am not sure we ever had what you have. It is never too late to learn, said. It is never too late to change. You truly believe that, after everything I have said, after everything my empire has done. Nodded, I believe every being has the capacity for good, even you, Commander, even though all you need is a chance. She raised her hand, not to strike, not to threaten, just to offer. Let us start over, she said. Forget the threats, forget the accusations. Let us begin again as equals, as potential friends. The chamber was completely silent now. No one breathed, no one moved. Everything depended on what would do next. He stared at her outstretched hand. Such a small thing, such a simple gesture. In culture, touching hands meant peace. It meant trust. It meant an end to conflict. Had not touched hands with anyone outside his own species in over a century. If I take your hand, he said quietly, everything changes. My allies will question me. My enemies will think me weak. My own people may turn against me. Perhaps, admitted, or perhaps they will follow your example. Perhaps they will see a different way. Perhaps the galaxy itself will change. You ask for a great deal. I ask only for a chance. Closed his eyes. When he opened them again, something had shifted. The fire was still there, but it was different now. Not the fire of anger, the fire of something new, something that might have been hope. Slowly, carefully, he reached out his hand. His fingers wrapped around small hand. His grip was gentle, surprisingly so for such a powerful being. When their hands touched, a murmur went through the crowd. History was being made. Everyone could feel it. I do not know if this will work, said. I do not know if peace is possible, but I am willing to try. Smiled, it was the smile she had smiled all day. That is all anyone can ask. She turned to face the council, still holding his hand. Her voice rang out clear and strong. Today, the Empire and humanity choose peace. We choose cooperation. We choose a future built on trust instead of fear. Let this be a message to the entire galaxy. No matter how different we are, no matter how long our conflicts have lasted, we can always find another way. The chamber erupted, but this time it was not with argument, it was with applause. Delegates from dozens of species stood and clapped. Some of them had tears in their eyes. The delegation cheered. Even the Mindel, usually so cold and emotionless, seemed moved. Pushed through the crowd to reach. His face was wet with tears he did not bother to hide. "You did it," he said. "Ambassador, you actually did it." Squeezed his shoulder. "We did it, all of us. Humanity did it." Over the next few hours, everything changed. The fleets received orders to stand down. Human ships began sharing their supplies with nearby worlds. Diplomats from both sides started working on treaties and agreements. The tension that had filled the station began to melt away. Stayed by his side through most of it, he seemed different now, lighter, like a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders. "Tell me more about your grandfather," he said at one point, "the one who walked through battlefields with medicine." His name was, said. He lived to be 97 years old. He never stopped helping people, even when he was too old to walk far. He would sit by the road and offer water to travelers. He said that every small kindness matters. Nodded slowly. "Perhaps I should try that, small kindnesses, it sounds pleasant." Smiled, "It is. You might be surprised how good it feels." As the day ended, stood by a window and looked out at the stars, stood beside her. They watched ships move through space. Ships and human ships flying side by side for the first time. "What happens now?" asked. "Now we build," said. "We build friendships, we build trust. We build a galaxy where beings help each other instead of destroy each other. It will take time. There will be problems, but we will keep trying." "Do you think it will last? The peace, I mean." Thought about her grandfather. She thought about all the humans who had come before her, all the struggles and wars and hard-won victories. She thought about the ice ages and the plagues and the dark times when hope seemed lost. "Nothing lasts forever," she said. "But that is not the point. The point is to make something good while we can, to light a candle in the darkness even if the wind might blow it out. That is what humans do. That is who we are." She turned to look at with warm eyes. "And today, we lit a very bright candle indeed." Outside the window, the stars continued to shine. Somewhere out there, human colonies were safe. Somewhere out there, former enemies were becoming friends. Somewhere out there, a new chapter of galactic history was beginning. And it had all started with one woman who refused to be afraid. Ambassador took a deep breath and smiled. Tomorrow there would be more work to do, more hands to shake, more bridges to build. But for now, she was content to watch the stars and remember what her grandfather had taught her. Every small kindness matters. Every act of courage changes the world, and fear is always a choice. She had chosen hope, and the galaxy would never be the same.